thinking about, I want you to mostly to be thinking about how you processed it and the fact that we're trying to, at Free to Heal, we want to give information for people who are currently incarcerated or formerly incarcerated, how they transition and how they heal the wounds. But I want to talk to you guys about what it was like when we would get to this time of the year when you were incarcerated for you guys. And then I could tell you what it was like being on the outside of somebody who was incarcerated. And anybody can jump in at any time. But before you do, everybody, welcome to Free to Heal. This is where we come together every week and we try to heal the ravages of incarceration, what it did to the incarcerated, as well as the loved ones, their relatives, the victims, everybody. And so we talk about it. And tonight we're going to touch base on coming up on these holiday seasons. How did people process that and how we can make it better moving forward? So anybody, like I say, here in the room.
My name is Kit, and I'm going to do it real nice and easy for everybody because this is easy for me. In the holiday season, I was miserable. I was so glad when New Year came, I didn't know what to do because I was used to seeing my family every holiday until my mother died. Then when my mother died, they started sending my aunties and my uncles up there to visit me. I only seen them on Thanksgiving or I seen them in Christmas. And then when my father died, it seemed like my visits just stopped altogether. Mm-hmm. And then about 20 years in, then my dad started coming. My dad's brother started coming, and then his sister came, and then that went on for another 10 years, and it was miserable. I hated the holidays.
So now, let me ask you this:
now that I'm home, I'm doing the holidays, and I'm really enjoying myself.
Let me ask you this, Kid. During that time of misery, what did you do in the institution to help you get to the end, to New Year's?
Oh, half the time I went and bought a bottle of White Lightning, and I would go get drunk inside my cell, and I shut the door and locked the door. The police knew. Leave him alone.
Okay.
Leave him alone because this ain't the time to mess with Mr. O'Ville.
Okay.
They come by and get me out. And listen, I'm the only person who can come out my cell, skunk and drunk, go fix your plumbing, and then put me right back in my cell and don't fool with my drink.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, because they knew what it was.
I was the lead man plumber, and they knew for a fact, hey, don't fool with this shit.
Okay.
Okay. And I was staying in prisons like 10 years at a time, 15 years at a time. So they would hate to move me because I could go fix anything, anywhere, in any part of the institution.
So you and this one here, this fella right here, y'all was the plumbers, and that's why they kept y'all. Look, that's why they, no matter what your sentence was, they kept you because they could get that labor out of y'all.
Free labor, free work, and stuff that free people wouldn't even do, I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when I come home this time, now every holiday, everything that looked like a holiday, I go find my favorite sister and I spend it with her. And I don't care how much money I got in my pocket, I'll spend every dime on her.
That's awesome. Because a lot of people, whether they've never been incarcerated or not, the holidays can be a very difficult time for people. For example, I just came back from a funeral of a cousin. She was young. She was 56 years old. And one of her sons, his father died when he was really young. So this will be his first holiday season with no parents at all. And the trauma feels, I'm sure, the same. And I don't think it really much matters how old you are, what that is. But I'd like to hear from anybody else about how did they deal with the holidays during incarceration?
I hated visiting.
Say it again.
I hated to get a visitor.
During the holidays, specifically, anytime? Why?
You feel bad for a week.
Oh.
Because I wouldn't get a visit, but maybe once every 3 or 4 years, right? And I would look forward to it. But when it was over, and your people walk out and
Yeah.
you can't,
Yeah,
that's
hard.
Yeah, I just as soon not get a visit, When I got a family visit where they could be there a couple days, that wasn't bad.
Okay.
But
that few hours and
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just and I didn't like holidays. I worked them anyhow because I worked 7 days a week.
Okay.
But I didn't like holidays. They didn't mean shit to me.
And now that you're out, is it different?
No.
No. You still don't much care for them?
Matter of fact, I get your girls mad at me when there's a holiday.
Why?
Because I tell them call you and have it canceled.
Oh my goodness.
And they get off of you.
Okay,
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're here for me to come down here and harass.
Oh Lord. Yeah, because see, my coworkers, they're off on holidays, right? So like even so for Thanksgiving, they'll get Thursday and Friday off. And then for Christmas, even though it's not on the company books, I give them the week between Christmas and they're gone for like a whole week. And he goes down there and harasses them every day. So he doesn't get to harass them when they're not right. So because he don't get to harass people, he wants the holidays canceled. Talk about a Scrooge, right?
I got yelled at today because I don't talk to anymore. So I'm out of there by 10. But anyhow, she come down there and her hair was all like and I told her, I said, what, you forget to comb your hair or what?
Oh Lord.
Oh, and she went off me. She says, no, I'm black. That's a style. I told her, it's shitty.
He's so silly. He's so silly. Anybody else check it for me? Tell me. So the question, okay, now as the loved one, come up a little closer so people can see you and hear you. So they got to be able to hear you and see you, okay? Okay.
For me, for holidays when they would come, I would be happy, but inside I would be feeling sad because the person that's incarcerated, they're not happy, so you're not happy. So for me, that's when I just learned how to cook and everything. So I would just stay up all night to the next morning just cooking, just thinking about the good times we had when they were here. But inside you feel like crap. You do put the smiles on because you did cook and people are coming by to eat. You do work a couple of days before that. You still put the smile on, but inside you feel like crap because they're not here to share that holiday moment with you. So you do feel like crap. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So yeah, well, let me ask you a question. I don't know what to tell you.
Clearly, you gonna sit there and stare my face?
Yeah.
Well,
At the women's prison, they, girls always try to get together and do stuff. I just, I played the part.
I just want them to hear you. I don't care about the food. I just wanted them to be able to hear you.
I played the part, but I was sad. I was really sad, but I played the part with everybody else and then I would sleep it off.
So in other words, for example, what you mentioned is, I think is really relevant too. In the women's prisons, they definitely try to, I see them, planning things and, planning what they can come up with in their cells and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that they would do decorations and different things.
Officers, but I'm sure they did that at Chowchilla too, but I was at CIW. So
yeah,
sometimes the officers would let us down a little bit, and then that's when coaches got together.
Yeah.
And then you used to go down in somebody's room or,
right,
was doing something and then you seem to be happy, but
yeah, but underneath of it all, especially because one of the things that I know, and I wonder, I'm going to ask this question of the guys because that have children, anybody that had kids, because I know in CIW, I could tell it was really, really, really hard these holidays, this time of the year was really bad. There was a lot of suicide attempts during this time of the year because the mothers were very concerned, about being away from their children during this time of the year. And I'm sure that all of the doing things and trying to make it more festive, and the cultures coming together was an attempt to kind of offset some of those things. Because I know for all the years I was there, they would always, they would be talking about it around me, as I would be in there instructing about how they would do it. But then, and then also when I would come in during the time of the holidays, some women would actually bring it up and check in, how devastated they were that they weren't with their children. So I know that suicides got to be quite a bit during this time of the year, even before fentanyl, because fentanyl was a whole nother wave of things. That was a whole nother wave. Fentanyl is a synthetic drug that they're mixing with other drugs. And when they start a few years back, I noticed that a lot of people were dying from overdoses, but it was really because the drugs were laced with fentanyl, because it's real potent apparently, and everybody's not making this. In other words, it's not the same kind of mixture all the time.
I've always heard about them mixing dope with rat poison.
They do.
And I always thought, you gotta be shitting me, that would kill you, but I guess
I don't know, but I do know that, again, like I say, during the holiday times, I know the women would kind of try to, of course, in women's prisons, they create families anyway. That is a a thing that they do amongst themselves. They create families, and I'm sure that was part of it. But
is that
the
all
biggest thing.
Only are my boys. I knew my mother was. I didn't expect nothing from nobody.
On the outside.
I decided I got that time in Silver Brand, and it's just what it was, and I'm gonna just have to spend I don't know how many.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But
If they came, I would be
me,
very grateful.
but for me, it made it where I was a holiday person because I grew up with a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when those things start happening to me in my life now, I'm really excited, but I don't get extreme. I don't go all out like I used to. I don't do all the pre-planning and stuff because I don't look forward to them because I know somebody's not here.
but women are tougher than men.
Yeah, I don't get excited no.
Has it lasted that way still?
Yeah, I'm still like.
It's still
I have not bought a Christmas tree. You see, Dion is 40 years old, and I haven't had a Christmas tree since he was 15.
Wow.
Because he would always pick out the tree.
Oh man.
I haven't had a Christmas tree since.
Wow. And it's, yes, ma'am. And but you're gonna have to speak up because they can't hear you. So you're gonna have to speak loudly so they can hear you. Come on up.
I was gonna say that even in the beginning, when I knew I was going to prison, I told my son's father that I want to see him every week. And he said, I really don't think you want that. And I said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't, because it's gonna be the leaving part. What you said about the family part. So, and that's the thing, what Roberta's saying, your family tends not to come during the holidays because they got holiday out here with the rest of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe your mom comes or something. So you know, the business, so you guys bond for real. And that's why talking about, they asked when I was in Mexico this weekend, they asked where me and my friend met, and she said in college, right? That's what they call it. So I was saying that you have a bond deeper than you have with your family.
Yeah.
Because if we're all sisters, at some point we're all going to school and then to work.
Mm-hmm.
But in prison, you spend the 24 hours a day with the people. So it's a different kind of bond that you have with them. So at the holidays, I get calls, I get inboxes saying that I miss you. And because it's the holiday that brings us.
Is that like at a women's college when they have those fraternity?
No, they call it college when they don't want to tell people.
No, I understand what.
No, you're talking about sororities.
Yeah, because you always hear that they're tight forever.
Well, I can tell, I've never been a part of a sorority, but I am part of an auxiliary group too, because I always really preferred men, being around men than a bunch of women. But anyway,
You know what?
because I like men better than I like women. But I ain't gonna go. But that's we ain't gonna we're not taking it no further than where I put that. You hear that, Ty? You got that? Okay, okay. We ain't going no further. You know, he always got to do the extras on me. But anyway. So I can tell you that I became a member of the Kappa Sweetheart family 40 years ago, and I'm still friends with those people, and I still hang out with the Kappas today. Yeah. So I do know that that is a thing, and I'm guessing that somewhere along the way, Cheryl said even in the prison, some of those women, they still communicate with each other because they form that bond. For those of you who are just coming in, I see James and Jaime, I think that's Carlos, I see, and Charles. So what we're discussing is with the holidays coming up, how did you process being incarcerated? How did you process the holidays? Because my hope is that maybe there's some tools or things that you might have learned, some ways that you learned to cope, that if somebody's still incarcerated and they hear this, or a family member might hear it and understand how their loved one is processing this inside, that it may give them a reason to do things a little bit different. It's just a conversation I wanted to have. And so that's the conversation. So anybody at any time, feel free to jump on in. Go ahead, James.
Well, holidays was kind of hard for me because I was Muslim. Mm-hmm. So we really didn't celebrate the Christmas. But what I did was I didn't alienate my family. I still sent them cards and told them how much I love them. And because I don't celebrate this day as you do, because I find that in our religion, we celebrate every day like Christmas. We give Christmas gifts every day due to the fact that we don't know if you're gonna make it see the next Christmas. Uh-huh. So when we were doing when Christmas came around, because they were Christians and Catholics and Jehovah's Witnesses celebrate, but the Christians and the Catholics, I would send them cards. And my cards wouldn't say Christmas. My cards would say, "Thank you for being my life another year."
Mm-hmm. And let me stop you right there and ask you, because that's an interesting way to approach it. Because let me ask you this: did it help you? Because you had children, right? So, yeah. Were your children being raised Muslim on the outside, or were they being raised Christian?
No, my children were being raised Christian. So what I would do is I would invest and send money to my dad, who would get them in like Target. So I get them a Target card and let them spend money from their dad or granddad. I did that with my grandkids and I did it with my children. So I didn't teach them about my religion until I got out.
Got you.
That's the way so they could see it. But other than that, the element of Christmas, regardless how somebody celebrated, you honor them in the celebration. It's not for you to change the world. You honor people in their celebration. Yes. You don't alienate them. You know, you just how you live, they respect how you live. How you live, they don't understand that. So that's why they knew that I was a Muslim. And they was like, okay, well, Grandpa, do you do this? Do you do that? And I would not just say no, but I would explain to them why we don't do it. Mm-hmm. But I tell them, keep doing it because this is what your mother has taught you, or your grandfather. I mean, your grandmother, or your grandparents on your mother's side. Mm-hmm. You have to understand that there's two sides of the family. Right. Just because I'm a Muslim don't mean that they have to follow my way. You know, that's the problem today. Everybody want to force religion and how to deal with certain situations when we all need to let them see the different sides and make a decision
and be
for
who
their
you
own.
Want to be. Yeah, do it right. Based on your own. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, can I?
Sure, go right ahead.
I think like Christmas was actually kind of hard, because it's like, for one, I feel like I abandoned my kids, and because of the stupid choice. And but the way that I, like, try to help them cope with life, or to cope with, me not being there, or just me not having them in my life, is like, I should draw a lot, because I draw portraits. I can draw really, really good. Um,
That's good to know. That's a skill I might need. Good,
and,
good, good. He can draw
uh,
really well. He can do
yeah.
portraits.
But anyways, I would draw things for them, and I would make sure that they get it. But I think that one of the things that helped us, like, when we were in prison, and I'm not just speaking for me, I'm talking about me and my friends, that my closest friends, is that we always threw spreads. You know what I mean? Like, we were always making tamales, or we're always making burritos, or some kind of food, like, or we'll find a way to make menudo, and we'll try to do something to where, like, the focus is on, okay, you're getting this, I'm getting that, you're gonna get this, who's getting the sodas, so when that time came, it's like you'll have a whole day room full of Mexicans having a big old spread, and just different.
And that
You know,
sounds similar to what Roberta was saying about what the women do. What they would do, they would come together and, try to create that, environment for themselves. So that's good. So again, because I think it's helpful that anybody that might be hearing this, that might be incarcerated, I'm sure there's, enough people left that know that, but if they don't, then hopefully that is something that they can do to help them get through these days, because it goes on for this period of time and it's difficult. And I'm glad you brought up one of the things that you said about feeling like, because I think that's a huge thing too. I know it was with the women, was the guilt you felt for feeling like you abandoned them or that you left them. And I know when I talked to the women at CIW, it was very much about the trauma was very much the fact that whatever they did took them away from their kids at that time of the year. And so, but one of the things I would always try to encourage them to understand is that the faster you can get back to them, the better, right? And as much as you can still be a parent from behind the wall, you got to try to maintain that communication. And they still need you, even though a lot of people try to make that disconnection, and it goes on. People on the outside try to stop it, and even some inmates don't want it. But children still need their parents, no matter where their parent is.
Yeah, and at that time, I didn't even realize that was something that I needed for me. You know what I mean? Like, for mentally and emotionally. Like that's how I felt. That's how what I was doing to take care of that shame and that guilt. You know what I mean? And all that anger that I had toward myself. You know what I mean? And and just dealing with all that pain, and the fear of of laying them down again, and just like, so here I am drawing all the time, sending cards all the time. Like, I'd be in the yard selling my cards sometimes, and I would save that money, and like, but even when it came to the spreads, it was like it took my mind off all the stuff that I was really dealing internally, and so, or just to be involved in that stuff was like a sense of love and community that we had with amongst ourselves, and that took away a lot of little stress
to kind of relieve the pressure a little bit. Now let me ask you this: so this will be how many holidays will you be home now?
This will be my second.
It will.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, like, I'm a little disappointed with myself a little bit. Like, I got denied parole. Like, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, like, I feel like, like, I should have pushed in certain areas a little bit more. Like, I shouldn't have left it to POs or somebody to fight for me. I should have fought for myself.
Let me ask you this: you're saying you got, what did you get, denied early release?
No, I got denied parole. See, they did my evaluation. I got out 10/20 of last year. So 10/20, the beginning of October, they started doing my review to see if I can get off parole. But they said, "No, man, And I think within this whole year, I had like 5 POs. So a lot of the information that I'm sending them, like my check stubs, the classes I'm taking, I didn't even include this one. I didn't even include, this is something I took on my own. No one asked me to do it. I just did it, because, I like to learn. I always like to, stay grounded. Plus I like your class, but, stuff like that I should have wrote down the dates, the time that I did, that I've done it, and or taken this class and submitted it. It's like, look, this is what I've been doing the whole time.
So
I was,
what's the prognosis now? And I see your hand. What are they saying? How much longer do you think now?
they want me to finish up another class, and it has to do with anger management, substance abuse, and I think a domestic violence one. I think a lot of guys are going back on domestic violence. So it's like for some people it's becoming, because of the violent history that they come by, that they worry about that tension build up and all that kind of stuff. And how do you deal with that? And so it's like mandated. So for me, I guess that's what they wanted me to finish that 52-week class. I'm telling them, like, man, if you guys would only see the classes that I facilitated, the class that I was a part of. I mean, any class that I came across, I wasn't just a student. I try to be a facilitator in the end. You know what I mean? And just for my own personal growth, And in the end, it's like I feel that I slacked off this much, and that's why I got denied. You know what I mean? And
Let me say this. It's just process, baby.
Yeah,
it's failure. It's just process, okay? It's just process, and keep this in mind that from their perspective, they're going to keep a certain number of people anyway, right? And anything, and like you say, having 5 different POs and all of that, you definitely would have had to do quite a bit to make sure that it was documented properly and all of that. But know this, that don't let that be a deterrent.
Yeah, but I want to be clear. I'm not blaming the POs. I'm not.
Sure.
My whole thing is that I shouldn't have left it in nobody's hands.
I understand that. I'm just saying, I don't want you to, be hard on yourself about it, because it's just process. You just keep living your life and doing what you've been doing, because you've been doing what's necessary.
Yeah, right? I think that's one of my struggles. You know what I mean? Is like I look at people around me and how, like, sometimes they don't care, or sometimes they don't have that discipline, or sometimes they don't have that they take shortcuts. You know what I mean? And I'm one of those guys that growing up, that I always believed that we have to work harder. You know what I mean? Being like being Mexican, like we have to work harder than everybody else. So for me, when I let up this much, you know what I mean? It's hard to let that go. Even though I know that's not true, in my mind, it's like, that's my fault.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to pluck up. That's what I want you. Let me tell you something. It's not necessarily, don't even put it in a fault category, because the reality is again, they're going to keep a certain number of people paperwork anyway. Okay. And at the end of the day, whatever you're going to go through between now and the time that you get off paper, you can use all of it. You'll be able to use all of it in your life. So don't let that have you being hard on yourself, okay? I want you to stop putting weight on your shoulders, okay? That's what I want you to do. I want you to get that, for lack of a better term, I want you to knock that chip off your shoulder. Listen, you have a right to be just human. You have a right to not do everything right all the time. None of us are perfect, okay? And you've been working, you've been doing a lot of good things. And I want you to focus more on that than on what you didn't do, okay? That's what I want you to do.
That's what I've been doing lately. Good. It's like I've been looking at the negative part rather than the things that I've done and accomplished. Even though I wasn't asked to do it, I still did it. Like this class, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want you to do that, baby. I don't want you to do that, because you don't deserve that. Listen, let me say this. If you think about how long they did that to you every day in the system, come on, man, knock it off. We need you to go back the other way, right?
Yeah, I think that's the struggle, because I understand that I was conditioned a certain way.
Good. Okay.
So I'm trying to uncondition certain things, but it's like it's not easy, because I've been doing it for so long.
Yes.
That out of habit, and then I get myself like, dang, I did that again. You know what I mean? So
Right,
then I
but
go
it's gonna work.
do
I
it.
know Cheryl had her hand up in this one here, but we gotta let him talk, because you know, if I don't, he gonna say I'll never let him talk. Go ahead, what you gonna say?
You know, if you've had that many pro officers, you
Yeah.
you can write, you can't see them, but you can write a letter to the head pro officer and explain to them that you've done, you know, all these classes and everything. And just, you know, say that because they keep rotating the pro officers, it's not fair for you because they don't get a full picture of,
Well, they don't really transfer like whatever documents that I'm sending them on a weekly or a daily, whatever. They don't always transfer it to the next guy.
yeah,
You
but
know,
I'm saying
because
that
they have
you
a
know,
lot of big caseload. You know
you
what I mean? So
you don't have to, you know,
but it's not. I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming myself because I already knew that. So
yeah, but I'm saying
I should
now
do the work
write,
myself.
you can write to the head pro officer and ask,
still give them the
ask for
information.
another review because of what they done, because they're the ones that did it. My first 6 months, I had 5 pro officers.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
I was asking my PO at that time. He goes, I'm gonna submit some paperwork for you for for your early, you know, to get off parole. I said, let me ask you a question. What do you have? And he goes, Jaime, I really ain't got nothing. And I go, I'm gonna tell you right now, I won't be denied. And he goes, why? I said, because I go, look, it's not your fault, man. It's my fault, man. I should have did my job. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, it's all right, man. Don't worry about it. And then like a month later, he goes, hey, you were right, man. But I have to tell you, you got denied. I go, I already knew, man. I already knew that was my fault. And he's like, all right.
Cheryl, there was something you wanted to say too.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna actually do what Pike said and to write, because this is what happens. And I know because we have a young lady who she had an opportunity to move, but she didn't want to because she would have had to get a new parole agent, which means she would have had to start her domestic violence classes over in the new area she was gonna move to. So what Pike is saying is valid, that you write them, say, and then I'm thinking that maybe my things might have got missed. So I'm gonna just give them to one person at one time because they left out some when they were doing the review or something. But I also wanted to say that, oh, and that would be for everybody, that your friends who are still incarcerated, tell them when they get home, whenever you do anything, write it down, because parole, especially if you're in the program, parole goes off of that paper that you had, those classes, do everything you do, like you're saying you're gonna do, write it down, because they are women, so they go off of everything that they've done. But she said something a while ago, you didn't hear her.
And what was that?
It was about the holiday visiting,
Oh.
and
Hey, Noreen?
she said,
Yeah,
Oh.
but that was something that I started from the very beginning.
Wait, one quick second, Jaime. What was it, sweetie?
Yes, this is Terry. I would like to just chat in a little bit. When I did 30
Go ahead.
years, I did all the holidays and 30 years that I did in prison. I never had one visit. I took one day at a time, and I thought about every day, it's a normal day, just one day at a time until I got out, until I went to the pro board.
Mm-hmm. So
And
your coping mechanism was just to make it like just another
that
day
was the
for
most
you.
happiest thing I ever heard. And when I got to my place, yes, it was just another day. I mean, the food was terrible, and you didn't have any friends that you want to party with. I didn't drink, smoke, or do drugs. So, and when I got out, then I said, my family started coming at me, and I hooked up with my sister, relatives, and cousins, but not one gave me $1 or a penny in prison. I had to earn everything I had. And that kind of hurt me, because now they're calling me and they're saying how much they miss me. And I said, you said this now, but you didn't even want to write me a letter. Not one letter, not one dime. So what do I have to trust you for? I mean, I can't trust you people. And then I find out that my niece was kidnapped by somebody. Now they're looking for her. And I don't know how in the world you cope with all that kind of stuff. But I'm not drinking and I'm not doing any drugs and I'm staying safe and healthy. I'm still maintaining a good relationship with the Lord. And I look forward to taking care of my own self and nobody else has to take care of me. And that's been a blessing for me. I never went on the streets when I was drinking and doing that. I didn't care about life or if I lived or died or anything. But now I care about everything. Living, I don't associate with any gangs or drugs or alcohol. And I'm staying pretty healthy for a 70-year-old man.
Pretty healthy. I heard that. Jaime, was there something else you wanted to say that I missed?
Well, that was about it. You know, I look forward to another Christmas, another Thanksgiving, and keep on tracking down the road.
Awesome. Go ahead, Jaime.
No, I was done. I was just,
Okay, cool. Okay. James, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to tell Jaime, the best thing to do when you complete something or do anything, you take a copy, you send it to the Board of Prison Hearings, you take a copy, you send it to the supervisor of the parole unit, and you keep one for yourself. That way you always have a log of what you sent them. So when the parole board look at you, they have what the parole officer's supposed to have. So if he say you ain't did nothing, then they sit there and they say, well, what is all this that we have?
Yeah,
This
that's
is the
You
thing.
see what I'm
It sounds
saying?
to me,
So
but what
that's-
it sounds to me like Jaime knew what he should have been doing, which is why he was upset because you knew you should have been doing all that.
So I started out doing that. I
Well,
started taking any class. I took it on this day, this time. This is the code word that shows my attendance for this day. I had this list. I was doing this list every week for like about 5 months, and then after 5 months, I just kind of like I got these new jobs. I got these new things, which wasn't an excuse. It doesn't take like 2 minutes to write these stuff down, but somehow I just got, I got too comfortable, too complacent, and I got to a point where it's like, dang, what did I do with all that stuff? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then
yeah.
I'm getting closer this to my situation, and I'm thinking like, why did I stop? I know that's important. Like I knew a year ago that I'm not gonna put my life in somebody else's hand. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do it.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like like if anybody's gonna ruin it, it's gonna be me.
Right.
I'm not giving nobody that opportunity to do that to me, and that's the way I've always lived my life. Like it's gonna be me, and here I am. I knew this. I knew what to do. I tell people what to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Carlos, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in real quick to touch on what the brother was saying right now. I mean, I don't know if he believes in God or no or does or doesn't, but when I was in prison, I knew what I had to do. And I took them a stack of stuff and they still denied me. And my mom used to tell me, it's not when you're ready. It's when God knows that you're ready, you're ready. So what I'm trying to say, and then this last time, I just took him like a little ass stack and I got a date. So what I'm trying to get to him is like, I mean, he probably slacked or whatever, but not to be hard on himself. If God is ready for him to get off
Yeah,
parole, God's gonna let him out. It doesn't matter what the
that's awesome.
parole officers have to say. It's when God knows that he's ready. And that's all I could tell him. As far as like holidays, for me, I started doing time when I was 12 years old. And I used to I used to cry, in juvenile hall and get stressed out. But I guess as I got older and I hit prison, it was just a regular holiday. Yeah, we did spreads and all this, but it was still that emptiness in my heart, that I tried to be like, you know what, it's just another regular holiday, man. We're just eating good today. But I always try to block that off, because that was my way of coping with being apart from my family, you know.
Mhm.
So to me, the holidays were really like I didn't look forward to them, just another day. But now it's like that I'm out here. It's like, man, I can't wait for my birthday to get here. I can't wait
When's
for
your birthday?
on the 20th.
My son is the 19th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my son is the 19th. So that's yeah. So you can't wait, and then Thanksgiving's right behind that, and then Christmas
You're
right
right.
behind that, and you get to spend all that with the family.
Right.
That's
You know.
wonderful. And
So
here's hoping, you know, that you can start new traditions. You know what I mean?
right.
Like I'm gonna start a new one this year with my family, with the ladies. I'm gonna have them to come to my house on the night before. And we're gonna cook together.
Oh,
So-
wait a minute. I'm a fat dude. I like to eat.
Nobody asked you to say all that.
These two gonna fight. I'm telling you.
Hey, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
You know I can say something for food going.
He's looking for reinforcements. You know, he asking you why you not here.
Hey, fight. We ain't invited.
Right.
No, that y'all not invited on Wednesday night. You're not invited on Wednesday night because let me tell you part of why I decided to do it. My daughter-in-law doesn't cook. When she was telling me, so her brother used to have somebody that cooked their turkey. And when we all got on the text message to figure out who was bringing what for Thanksgiving, they were like, does anybody know how to make a turkey? I'm like, yeah, I make a good turkey. So my thought was, if we all get together, just the women get together, they drink tequila, I drink vodka because I don't fool with no tequila. I know. Me and them Jose, you know, we done fought it out. He won, I lost, no problem. And if we all cook, then even the little girls can start to learn how to do the recipes, and everybody can learn because they love certain dishes that I make. So I'm going to show them how to make them. But I figure it'd be a bonding experience to be, again, as the little girls, if we do it every year.
Turkey, don't you?
No. And if we do it every year, then the girls can learn and they can come in the kitchen and see how these dishes are made, because there was a dish that my grandmother made that I would help her with it, but I didn't know actually how it was done and what the rest of the steps were, because it was making chicken and dumplings from scratch. And I used to to me, it was just playing with the rolling pin. And that was all I knew, right? But then when she passed away and I realized I don't know how to make them. And I didn't like everybody's stuff, chicken and dumplings. Most of them were nasty as hell, until I went to this church and the pastor used to serve this. He used to sell these lunches. And he taught me I begged him, the next time you make it, because I came in and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that looked like my Nana's chicken and dumplings right there. And I'm a fat girl, James, and I like to eat too, right? So I knew what it looked like, right? I knew what it looked like. So look, I was like, that looked like the real thing right there, right? I ordered it, I tasted it, I said, oh, Sookie, that's the real deal right there. So I begged the pastor, I said, please show me how to make it. So he did. The next time he made it to sell it, he had me come in and he showed me how to do it. And so I realized the importance of knowing how these recipes get passed down from generation to generation.
No, that's not true, because I told you, I didn't learn how to cook like that.
Because you had so many people ahead of you.
Yes, but I learned how to cook with smell, and that's how I cook today. I don't know nothing about what goes with this. I don't know that. I know the smell.
If it stinks, you throw it out.
I know what the smell is. I can walk in your house and tell you cook so and so, and I can walk like, oh, that's you missing this. I can tell you what the smell is supposed to have. The smell I grew up with. So I was in the kitchen with them. You did a little bit of preparation. My grandmother liked her stuff a certain way. So she might let you do this and do that. Now you gotta go. But I remember all the smells as I grew up, and that's how I cooked it.
You know, when I asked Mama about chicken and dumplings, you know, when I moved out, he told me go get the biscuits.
Oh God, yeah, it's not.
And just break them off and throw them with
No. And see, that was the thing. A lot of people do that. They made made it, it just wasn't good to me. But you got to roll that dough out really, really thin, and you got to season it so that the dumplings have flavor. And that was the thing that I did. But they was back having a conversation. I know I missed something.
No, we were just talking about the cooking. I told her that's very rare. I cook by smell. It's like maybe one.
Well, yeah, y'all both crazy. Okay, yeah. So they look, that's what I'm saying. So they're saying that they cook by smell. What?
See,
What's your
thing-
excuse?
my
Wait 1 second, James. Go ahead.
I'm talking to James today.
Because you were supposed to be here, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a great excuse because my grandfather was really mean and he let no one in the kitchen.
Oh.
So how I got in the kitchen was I agreed to organize his file cabinet when I was 8 years old. And I needed to
look.
I had to taste the spices in order to know what went into what, and I got it myself based on what I was smelling and what my senses gave me as a child, and that's how I learned how to cook.
Well, I think you're extraordinary anyway, right? Because you know what I'm saying. Okay, let me just say this: she have a photographic, photographic memory and all this kind of stuff. So because of her,
look. I want to extend apology first and foremost.
Get it close. What's that?
Say something. It's here, but James is not.
It's here, and James is
not.
not.
Say something.
So listen. So for those of you who don't know, this is a book by Susan Burton, and it's called Becoming Miss Burton, and it is about how she went through her life and started the program A New Way of Life. Now, for women who are incarcerated and stuff, her mom has and that's her mom. That's Susan's mom. No, Susan is.
Hey, Susan.
Wait, let's get that right.
No.
This is Susan's daughter. And
yeah, that's Susan's daughter.
Together the last time, James requested a copy of her mother's book. And
yes.
James is not here, but the book is here. And
no,
so James is in trouble. I think that James should pay her a quarter. Because you know me, okay? So I'm thinking, yeah, James, you're gonna owe her a quarter. Yeah, you getting taxed.
Yeah.
She want $1. Sorry, you getting taxed.
Okay.
So that's the thing.
She gets that.
Because of her photographic memory, there are so many things that she knows. But there are people, but even if you guys cook by a sense of smell, having somebody in there watching you and but listen, but they're gonna need to know that.
I like to cook all by myself when I cook.
Oh, you so selfish. Oh, you so selfish and spoiled.
She's so bougie. That's my bougie friend. She's so bougie.
You said what? She what?
Bougie.
She's so bougie. That's my bougie partner.
That's your bougie partner? I don't know.
That's my bougie partner.
It is. It's a learned behavior because look, let me tell you something. Like I said, we're going to start this tradition right now so that, again, my hope is that they learn how to cook. And if they don't, then they just don't. But it'd be something.
What about the fat guy? I like to cook.
You're not invited. You're a guy. This is only for ladies. This Wednesday night. She said if you put on a wig, you still can't come.
A wig and a dress.
So Lawrence, I want you to talk to me about how you got through the holidays incarcerated. Really? You just locked it up in a space. Now, what about since you've been home? Really? You gotta speak up so they can hear you.
I always tell people like
incredibly unhealthy, and we just gonna call you out on it. We're just gonna call you out on it because this is the 100 zone. So.
But I'm saying was that for survival's sake that you put them on the shelf?
to emotionally survive, right?
Yeah,
To emotionally cope, right?
yeah.
I have a family that I love, very close. So I just put things on myself, focus my time, my energy on things that I can control.
Okay.
Things that I had influence.
Okay.
Rather than me sitting and being depressed or being sad, wondering about the holidays, family.
Right.
I focus on trying to build the future. So that's where I'm still at right now.
Right. See, that's the compartmentalization that we talked about.
Yes.
After last time, it's the compartmentalization. I'm a compartmenter. I can compartmentalize everything. So that's why I asked him. It initially started out for a sense of survival for you, and now
Noreen, I gotta go.
Okay, go ahead.
you can continue to do that, even though, but people will tell you that it's unhealthy.
Or you can still smile, you can still laugh, you can still enjoy.
I'm not saying I don't smile. I'm not saying I don't laugh. I'm not saying I don't enjoy. I just want to make my time.
Hey, Lorene, I'm gonna go too. Okay.
Okay.
Real shit though. Like people be like, you
But you have a focus.
if you say like, let's go have fun though. But if I need $500 at the end of the month to pay a bill or something, I can't get $500 from you. So when people tell me you need to do this, you need to do that, let me get my bread right first, right? And then when I get my bread, when I get my money right, when I get my business right, when I get my home right, when I get me right though, right, I'm gonna go chase a woman.
Okay.
And when I chase that woman, then I'll be able to take her to dinner. I'll be able to take her on trips.
But life is not promised.
Like, it's not promised.
Mm.
I already
It's
know
not
that.
promised.
I already know that because I lost
Not
30
promised.
years. I already know that because I lost 30 years. So what I do now, though,
But that was
here's my
that's
balance.
different.
Here's
That's
my
the
balance.
difference.
Here's my
You
balance,
was
right?
paying for something you
Let me
need.
talk.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Right.
Other words,
Go ahead.
shut up.
Remember I said I spend my time.
Yeah.
I said I spend my time running my nonprofit.
Right.
So I help offenders acclimate back into society,
Mhm.
whether it be clothing, food, shelter, whatever it
I
is.
hear you. Yeah,
That's
we
my
hear.
joy.
Okay.
That is-
Okay.
when I invest in other people who
Okay.
I believe that, they're not gonna get a fair shot.
Right.
They're just not. So the people that need assistance, it's more them than it is of people who are gonna give to them. Right? So people look at them as more as a commodity, they're a check,
Mhm. They are.
than trying to help them
They're not
establish,
human
or just establish life, but when
So
brothers and
that's your-
sisters
that-
come
that-
home, they need clothes.
Okay, but now as long as I know you have some kind of joy in your process and in your steps, because it will help process everything you're saying. I'm just glad to know that you have some.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Now you want to argue with me again?
I take great pleasure in helping people because that's not me. It's not right. It's really not. So I think every day with a sense of gratitude for my freedom.
Right.
And I give it back. Issues trying to help is all real life problems. So for me, whether it be buying somebody food or whether it's buying somebody
Taking 7 seconds to get a suit.
taking somebody out or whether you can find out a soul. There are things that not enough of us are doing.
Right, it's true. That's
So,
very true.
And I'm not one, I'm independent.
Mhm.
Right? So if I want to help. I don't want to ask nobody for no money. I don't want to beg nobody for something. I don't want to kiss nobody. None of that. Right? If I give out of the kindness of my heart, gentlemen, God, I am grateful. It's like I got 20 to 25 years of functional life left. I intend to best those years.
More than that.
Well, I mean,
To me, this is just me speaking. And I want you to think of
Compartmentalizing. So I think that compartmentalizing is extremely healthy. You just have to know how to do it. And it sounds like for you, that's where your balance comes. Because it's a learned behavior, whether I learned it, at 3, I learned it very early. I truly did, but it has been the saving grace for my life and why I'm not, as people say and read my mom's book, why I'm not crazy, why I didn't follow her down her path or, my uncles or what have you. It was the ability to learn how to compartmentalize. And once you
perfected for yourself, then you have these missions, you have these compulsories or these things, but you also find your balance in it. And I know he was steadfast to let you know that he had a balance, whether he deemed you necessary to know it.
Yeah.
He does have a balance, and I saw it in his eyes.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted you to hear it.
Yeah, but I'm just happy to know that, because I know how
understood.
everybody gets like that. Every
Yeah.
human life get like that. You get so driven to do the things you want to do because of the things you have lost, and you're really trying to go forward and doing more and more and more and more for self. But in that self, like I said, because life is not promised, you still have to have a little bit of joy in doing some things for yourself as well as for others.
And as long as that's the key, because it comes in different forms for different people, is basically what we get out of this conversation, is that it comes in different forms for different people, and that balance is what's critical. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because there are people who, I'll use my nephew as an example, and I'm constantly, so he has a 6-year-old, and a lot of the men in my family are pretty much workaholics. And, you know, I'm constantly reminding him, listen, you know, your son is growing up and you're at work all the time. You're either asleep waiting to go to work, or you're on your way out to work, or you're at work for him. And so I understand what Diane was saying. Okay, yes, that's fine. And you want to have all those things. But thankfully, in his case, he does have some things that gives him the joy that he feels makes his balance in his life worth living. One of the reasons that I wasn't here, that we didn't have group last week, is I was coming back from a funeral for a family member who was 56 years old. No indication, that her life was going to be that short. But all of a sudden had a bowel situation, and in a matter of no time, she was just gone. So there's, again, and I think the good thing, like I say, with this conversation is we got to see what's important, which is the balance. That's what makes it healthy, the balance in any of it, because
Her balance is she let this old white man out here in the rain. That's her balance. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I done paid that man that quarter for leaving him outside already, okay? I done paid my dues. I done paid my debt to society. I don't know why he want to keep on bringing up old stuff. Not to mention the fact he was going to sit out there for 45 minutes anyway. He tell us how he come out there and sit so he could watch normal people walking around with their families. But now all of a sudden it's my fault. Okay, whatever. You know what I say to that? Put that on the pile of stuff that they've been blaming me for years. Put it in the pile, and when they come up, I'll take responsibility for that. To the rest of the stuff, because you know, okay, so in my business every day, we built and we manage affordable housing. And I ain't never realized that if a woman get pregnant, if they bought a new car, anything, it's always my fault. So that's why I say I'm used to taking responsibility for stuff. I got you, just put it in a pile. Just put it in the pile. But again, we have been blessed to, again, just to have this conversation about what do you do? And like Diane, it was very difficult to get through the holidays as the person on the outside, because you know that the person inside is not happy. You miss them. And you want to have the memories, but you can't make those memories. There's no guarantee that you're even going to get to talk to them on those days. And so it was very hard to be the person on the outside, waiting for those phone calls to see if they would ever happen, if possible or whatever, hoping that everything was okay on the inside, hoping that they were getting through it. But it's a blessing for us to have a place to come and talk about it. And again, the purpose for this is that maybe somebody that might see this, they may understand what their loved one is going through this incarcerated, or they may understand what it was like and what they're experiencing now. Because guess what? One of the things I've heard it from several of you guys, and that's this, pay attention to this. Whatever you guys started while you were incarcerated, to some extent, you've maintained it since you've been home. It's the coping skill that you used, you've been still using that since you've come home. So there are some, and I think it's what Jaime said, is that you do it for so long, it just becomes second nature, right? And it becomes habitual, right? So now the question becomes, okay, how do we build new habits? Or do you even see a need to build a new habit, right? Because there's that compartmentalization, right? Helps you get through what you got to get through. But now you have, I want you also to know you have an opportunity to make it different. You have an opportunity, like Big Head over here shaking his head, no, this one here,
No,
him. But guess what? I'm gonna help him.
finish.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
What happened?
You don't let me finish.
I'm not gonna let you
always do
finish.
that.
I'm not gonna let you finish, but guess what? Guess what though?
I don't want to hear
It
it.
don't matter. I'm still inviting you to my house for Thanksgiving. I don't give a damn what you think about it. Okay, so you can come be with my family. So you
Well,
can
you
come.
gotta come get it.
I ain't coming to get your ass. No, you're gonna get in that car and you're gonna come to my house
I
for
don't want to
Thanksgiving.
get to your house.
Yes, you do. You did before.
I
Don't
have
worry about it.
never done it.
Okay, but guess what? So guess what? It gives us the opportunity again. It gives us the opportunity again to start to create new habits, okay? Even though, and listen, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but just know that you're free to do that. You're free to heal from those things that you had to do, because see, those were things you had to do to get through the moment, right? These are things, now you got choices. Like this man gets to choose what he's doing about getting his money and all that stuff versus other things. He gets to choose that. That's the beauty of it, is we have choices. And I'm just glad that we're having this conversation. And I want to give everybody an opportunity on this one topic to have final comments. Mr. Charles, I haven't heard from you all night.
That's because you didn't let him talk.
You know what? He said it was because I didn't let you talk, Charles, but that is not the case. Unmute Charles so you could tell him. Talk to me, Charles.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. Except I want to beat him over here, and I'm not even into violence, but he bring it out.
Yeah. Me and him go a little ways back from San Quentin.
Well, this is my thing. I wish you had done something about it then. That's
Cool.
all I'm gonna
I
say.
ain't never been to Quincy.
But go ahead.
In any event, I am blessed, and I'm going to continue to deal with the holidays the way that I dealt with them in prison. 99% of my family was decimated after 35 years. I have one sister left, and she has 5 kids.
Okay.
So she's been, doing her thing with her kids for 35 years, and hopefully she continues to do that, because I've learned, to block it out, and, seclude myself from everything. And that works for me.
Okay. And that's what you did inside.
Of course.
Well, and as long as it's working for you, then what can I say? Again, the beauty is you have a choice. The beauty is you have a choice. You can choose to do something different if you want, and you don't have to choose to do nothing different, whatever's working for you. So, but thanks for being with us this evening. I appreciate that. Mr. Hall, any last comments from you?
Yeah, for me, it's just after doing 33 years, like you go through changes. So when I first came in, I was more festive. I was still in that celebrating the holidays and stuff like that. And then prison was more festive. They served better food back then when I first came in. They was giving us treats. They was treating it more like a holiday when I first came in. But as time went on, they began to not treat it as a holiday. And my mood began to change about it too. And then I started using it just as an opportunity to get high or to drink or whatever. And in the later stages, it just became that it was another day to me. So now that I'm out, Now I want to like recreate the festivities now because I'm reconnecting with my family and it's important to them. So,
That's
so
good.
I'm treating that as important again.
Well, you know what, and I'm only clapping because I'm such a family person, right? Despite the fact that my natural family is kind of small. But I'm such a family person. And in fact, when I went back home, I went to the projects where I grew up at, and I was talking to one of the ladies, and we were talking, I was like, I can't believe that these places are this small, because we used to be packed in her place. And listen, I would cry if my mother told me I had to come home, because I wanted to stay over there and sleep at her house on the floor. We would be like people all over the place. You'd be stepping over people to go to the bathroom, but they were the best times of all times. And I would cry to go sleep on somebody else's floor, even though I had a bed at my house. You know what I'm saying? But the party was around there at her house. And it seemed so big when we were little, but when you go in the projects now, it's like a little matchbox. And to think all of us was there and there was one bathroom. That blows my mind. Like, one bathroom, all of us, because she had 5 kids of her own, right? And then it'd be me and my 3, and then her nieces and nephews, and I mean, people would be everywhere. So, you know, just for me, I'm always excited when I hear about people getting together with family and stuff like that. That's just because that's my thing. But I'm glad in whatever you choose to do, that I hope that it goes the way you want it. Mr. Carlos, any last comments from you, baby?
Yeah, I'm like everybody else, man. I blocked them off when I was in prison, but I can't wait, man. I'm waiting to enjoy them. And I mean, as a kid, I always liked Christmas, even though I didn't get nothing, or birthdays, but things are changed. And today I went shopping, man. I went got me a couple things for my birthday, but I bought it myself. You know, just treated myself. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm looking forward to the holidays with my family, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Mr. Sanders. Wait, we gotta unmute you. Go ahead and unmute.
Am I unmuted?
You are.
All of a sudden. I know she back there talking mess, but I ain't tripping. Unfortunately for Thanksgiving, I have to work.
Oh, okay.
I gotta, you know, I got to, you know, get on my soapbox and, you know, pay my bills. They don't stop, like the brothers say, they don't stop. Holidays they don't quit adding them up. They add them up, but as long as they're at home, that computer's still adding. So
that's right.
I'm gonna keep y'all in thought and prayer while I'm bouncing around that truck. And you know, I'm coming to get my book though.
Yeah, famous last words. Look, I don't know. That's all right. I don't know what the lady said. I don't know. But you gonna have to. He got a deuces, y'all. All right, last words.
Great conversation once again. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed everybody here in the room. Thank you once again.
You're welcome. Darling.
I appreciate the time. I do enjoy the time. Perspective.
Yeah.
I appreciate the perspective because I view the world from a whole different lens. So I really appreciate the words, your thoughts.
And why did you view it from a different perspective?
Because I was out in the prison.
Okay.
I've never been to prison. So for me, it was always viewing, you know, I was I was probably the meanest child ever, you know, especially when the holidays came around, because I view the holidays as a great, holidays period as a great distraction. You know, we get up, we go to work, we go to school, we do what we have to do. But the holidays for me was always a great distraction. It was a time for the family to get together.
and, you know, have a good thing. I have a very large family, and for a lot of that time period, my mother was missing. And for me, you know, I was the first child whose mother was missing as a result of prison. And so I was angry. I was very angry about it because most of my friends' parents, whether they were single or together, were always around. And my mother was the only one missing until the crack epidemic. But, you know, I found solace in explaining to my friends what was going to happen, because I'd already experienced it for quite some time. But even in that process of counseling my friends, my mother was still missing. You know, she was there for, you know, periods of time, but she spent more time in prison than she spent out. And for me, that was just, it was so unnatural. And it made me a very angry child. But again, I've learned more, you know, I've learned more about the system and society today to understand why there was so much separation, and that, you know, the majority of it wasn't necessarily my mother's fault.
Right.
So it gives me, you know, a trajectory of experiences and different points of view. But again, I will, you know, God forbid, I will never know these perspectives, and it helps me to even further understand things that, you know, I thought I knew.
And that's important. Again, you know, you guys, I tell you guys this all the time, trying to have this information available for people who don't know is really important to me, you know, so because there's somebody that's experiencing what you're experiencing that has no idea of the things that we're talking about here.
No, there's somebody who experiences that I knew that still doesn't know.
See?
We can't even put the person who doesn't know on the person who's never experienced it. There are so many children. I'm 56. And so there are so many children my age, a little younger than me, maybe a little bit older than me, that still don't understand that experience, because they're still trying to figure out how to come back to their parents, how to come back to that place that they lost. You know, that going to prison is not only a drop off for the parent, it's also a drop off for the child.
Yes.
So we move on, we continue to live, but we still have that drop off place.
Got it. Last thoughts for you, my dear?
I have, well, I had a lot of thoughts, but where is Eddie, please, someone?
He wasn't here tonight.
Put in our paperwork in order to get funding to go to college.
Okay,
All right.
cool bean.
I took 80 out yesterday.
Does the Franciscan home have a big dinner for them for Thanksgiving?
Did they pipe it?
No. Yeah, I'm gonna say no. 'Cause I invited to take some people out. Eddie's near Francisco.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but wait, listen.
They have the meal about a week before Thanksgiving.
So that's the answer to that. Okay.
Or they did. I don't know.
Somebody on there was just saying they do. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they have they got each house baking certain things, and we're taking them to the main office.
Oh, okay. Okay. So any last comments?
I just hope that one day my kids are youth.
Yeah.
My kids are youth. I just was in jail the whole time. So
Uh-huh.
I didn't raise my children, but
Right.
the bitterness,
Yeah.
the child I don't get along with at all.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he's absolutely me.
She's
You know?
browbeating this.
And so, yeah,
the
I hope one day they
understanding.
can forgive me
Right.
or, you know,
Because it's a
understand.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
process,
didn't get it.
progress is a process.
Maybe they.
Mm-hmm. Any last comments for you, sir?
Yeah, just keep pushing, man. That's all I gotta say. Just keep pushing. No matter
All right.
what, just keep pushing.
You know what I hated about big holidays in prison is that damn 2 weeks that they locked us down
Mm,
before because they wanted
the overtime.
overtime. And I mean, that's why we had what we used to call lockup boxes under the bed. Because we knew 3 times a year that we was gonna get slammed. I mean, the cops will go out to one gang and tell the other gang that they called them a punk. And I mean, it's like every year, and then they would bust out. If not, they would drop notes. Cops have dropped notes that somebody's gonna kill a cop or, you know, but you knew you were going down for 2 weeks.
Prior to the holiday so that they could have that overtime money.
Yep.
Well, you know, again, these are the kinds of things that people don't, again, unless you know, you don't know. And I'm just grateful for all of us to be here at Freed to Heal. We're here every week. We're grateful for all of the conversation, all of the input. We appreciate having everybody. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media sites. Please leave us comments. We thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next week. Freed to Heal. Get healthy, everybody. Get healthy. See you guys next week.
They would get extra money.